Let's look at this RC. In the first paragraph, author says that there's a myth that European settlers harnessed Western Hemisphere, and before they arrived, it was plainly wilderness. Okay, but some scholars believe that natives had transformed the land and made it cultivable even before the Europeans settled there. While other scholars believe that myth is not a myth after all, so they buy the myth. Okay, so sort of there is a sort of conflict. All right, conflicting opinions exist. Now, author takes his stance and he says a large body of evidence exists to prove that natives burned the land to manage the wilderness, which means he denies, he refutes the myth and supports these scholars here. Okay. And he gives us evidence of, he rather tells us that there is evidence of charcoal accumulations and other evidences that prove the same. Even in the third paragraph, author gives us more evidence to prove his point that natives had burned land deliberately to manage the wilderness. So he gives us examples of different vegetation that exists in different parts of United States. He cites them as the evidence. With this basic understanding, we are ready to deal with the questions. Okay, guys. Question 1, main idea. A says, despite extensive evidence that native populations had been burning North and South American forests extensively before 1492, this part is correct. Some scholars persist in claiming that such burning was either infrequent or the result of natural causes, that is natural fires. Okay, this part is also correct. So this is factually true. This part is also covered. Could be the main idea. We will keep it for now. Option B, in opposition to the widespread belief that in 1492, widespread belief may refer to the myth. Okay, Western Hemisphere was uncultivated prior to 1492. Scholars unanimously agree. This is a problem word. They do not unanimously agree. Some scholars believe that natives burned the land. Some scholars believe they did not. It was only European settlers who did so later. Okay. Option C, although some scholars minimize the scope and importance of burning of forests engaged in by the native populations, this is correct. Before 1492, evidence of the frequency and impact of such burning is actually quite extensive. This is also factually true. So options A and C are similar in nature. Let's keep it for now. Where scholars had once believed that North and South American forests remained uncultivated until the arrival of Europeans, there is now general agreement. There is not general agreement, rather there's still disagreement. Some scholarship believes something, some researchers believe the other. They buy the myth. Okay. So options B and D are out. Between A and C, guys, now we'll have to understand an important point here. The difference between the two answer choices A and C is that A says despite X comma Y, C says although X comma Y. In both these structures, Y is the main point, but in A, the Y part is the focus, therefore, is on persistence of some scholars that the myth is right. Myth is not actually myth. While the focus of the passage is not on these scholars who buy the myth, but the passage revolves around, centers on defying the myth or refuting the myth rather, which means this evidence that such burning is happened frequently is quite extensive. The author is primarily talking about the evidence. He is primarily refuting the myth. Option C should be the correct answer. Okay, can be inferred that the forest burned as described in the passage would have been least likely to display what? Okay, numerous types of hardwood trees, a forest burned. Okay, we'll see. Hardwoods are being talked about here, and it says where native settlements were substantial, A clearing followed by regular burning was a pattern. Okay. When these settlements were abandoned, the land returned to mixed hardwoods, which means when there was no burning, when the land was abandoned, which means when there was no burning, there was no settlement, native people did not settle there, then mixed hardwoods reappeared. Now that would imply if no burning leads to mixed hardwoods, burning of the land would remove these hardwoods. Therefore, they are least likely to display the numerous types of hardwoods. A burned land is least likely to display A. Option A should be the correct answer. B says extensive herbaceous undergrowth. Well, this is a characteristic of burned forest. So it is not least likely, it is rather very likely. It is contrary to what the question asks. Various stages of ecological maturity is also very likely. These are all three are characteristics described in the passage. They're characteristics of burned forest. Right? So option A. The succession mentioned in the last line refers to, okay, we'll see that. Last line says, this succession, what is that succession? When these settlements were abandoned, the land returned to mixed hardwoods. Okay. So these Nicaragua pines occur where there has been clearing followed by regular burning. Such forests were present when Europeans arrived, but when these settlements were abandoned, mixed hardwoods reappeared, which means this succession refers to pines succeeded by hardwoods after the settlement were abandoned. Okay. Option A, forest clearing followed by controlled burning of forest. This is not what we are looking at. Tropical rainforest followed by pine. Not really. European settlement followed by abandonment of land. Maybe. But is it European settlement followed by abandonment? No. Natives. Native settlements which are followed by abandonment of land. So this is factually incorrect, factually twisted. Homogeneous pine forest, okay, followed by mixed hardwoods, exactly what we are looking for. Option D is the correct answer. Question 4, which of the following is presented by the author as evidence of controlled burning in tropics before the arrival of Europeans? Okay, he has presented many evidences. Let's see. Option A, extensive homogeneous forests at high elevation. Okay, so one thing in all these answer choices is elevation. So we'll have to look at that. Okay. All right. So here it is written an example of such forests is the pine dominant forest of Nicaragua, where warm temperatures and heavy rainfall naturally favor mixed tropical or rainforest, while these forests primarily grow in cooler, drier, and higher elevations. So they naturally grow. Please understand the idea. They naturally grow in higher elevations where such vegetation is in large part natural. Okay. Today, the Nicaragua pines also occur where there has been clearing followed by regular burning. So this is human activity. The natives grew pines in a sense. Okay. So this is the evidence. Naturally, these pines grow in higher elevation, but because they also therefore grow in low elevations, it is an evidence that these growths are not natural and they have been brought about by burning. Okay, this is the evidence of burning. Let's see. Extensive homogeneous forests. Now, are these homogeneous forests? We'll have to look at that. So these are pine dominant forests, which means dominant forest, which means they're relatively homogeneous. Also, it is written here, burning also converts mixed stands of trees to homogeneous forests, and for that he has cited these examples. Okay, so heterogeneous is out, option C is out definitely, and we want extensive homogeneous forest at low elevation. Talking about the pine forest here, so this is the answer, option B. Option D says extensive sedimentary charcoal accumulations. That is correct, but this is unrelated to elevation. This idea, this point is mentioned here, and no talk of elevation happens here. Okay. Author would be most likely to agree with which of the following. Okay. Option A says the long-term effects of controlled burning could just as easily have been caused by natural fires. No, he says to the contrary, the effects are markedly different here. So natural fires have different effects, while man-made fires have different effects. So this is out, contradictory. Nicaragua pine forest could have been created either by natural fires or by controlled burning. That is exactly what we looked at here. Higher elevations. Okay, but author believes that either X or Y is the problem here in this answer choice. He believes that they have been created by natural fires as well as, that is, and controlled burning. Either or would discount the fact that some of these forests have also been created by controlled burning, but author's main point is that some of these forests have been created by controlled burning. So he doesn't say that either X or Y, he says X and Y. So this is the problem here. European settlers had little impact on the composition of ecosystems. Now, though author believes that the natives had already cultivated land or already managed the wilderness, he has never said that Europeans did not have much impact. So this is again beyond the scope of the passage. Certain species of plants may not have been as abundant in North America without controlled burning. Again, we are talking about berries and sun-loving foods here. In North America, controlled burning created conditions favorable to these particular plants. So certain species of plants may not have been as abundant in North America without controlled burning. He definitely believes this. Option D is the correct answer. All right, last question. As evidence for the routine practice of forest burning by native populations before the arrival of Europeans, author cites all of the following except, okay, similar characteristics of fires in different. He does not cite this. The characteristics were not similar, to the contrary, they were markedly different. So option A should be the correct answer. We look at other options nonetheless. Simultaneous presence of forests at varying stages of maturity. This is mentioned, therefore not the answer. Okay. Many different stages of ecological development. Okay. The heavy accumulation of charcoal near, this is directly mentioned here, explicitly written here, charcoal accumulations. The existence of herbaceous undergrowth is also mentioned here, directly mentioned here in certain forests. So this is also not the answer. Hope you got many right this time. Follow the Telegram group for further practice, for continued practice of one RC every day. Cheers to learning, guys.